this last month has been somewhat busy. Mostly good, but some not so good. So we were planning to do a day trip for Amy's birthday, and it would have been somewhere that involved a lot of walking, and with my conditions, that's not really feasible. I'd, potentially be tired, in pain, and thus become a grumpy pain in the proverbial to be around. So a lot of attractions will have mobility scooter hire or wheelchair hire for the day. And rather than having someone forced to push me around, a mobility scooter would probably be ideal. So we asked about that, and it's like, no, we don't have any left for that day. Sorry, we can do you a wheelchair. And we're like, okay, put one to one side. So we then looked into, let's have a look about hiring one for the day. We'll look up that, get that all sorted, and cancel the wheelchair if we need. Because if we can get one that can fold, which I didn't know existed before then it can fit into my dad's boot when we go there and back, and then we'll return it. But the cost per day of hiring one of those is more than it would cost to just pay for one per month in installments over a period of time to actually have as my own. So that was a bit of a no-brainer. Now, the reason I hadn't got one before is because I have steps to the property from the front door to the pavement, and even though it's only 3, it would still be very difficult to get a standard mobility scooter up and down that constantly. Especially as the point of me having it is because exertion is sometimes too much. And the back, it has a big step up from the garden. I wouldn't feel comfortable leaving it in the alleyway behind, just in case of theft or damage or whatever. So I've never looked at it past that point, because I always thought you only had the big bulky ones. Now that I knew folding boot scooters existed, that was it. Like, okay, let's look at getting one. So I went to buy one. It was, a simple foldable one. There's no footplate or anything like that, but it would get me around. So I ordered one before the time for next day delivery. So this was on a Thursday. So because I've ordered it before that cut-off point, it should arrive for Friday. We needed it for Monday. Later in that day, after the cut-off point, but again, that's not my fault, I ordered it before the cut-off point, I was told that they're expecting stock of the one I ordered, but it hadn't come through. And it would take quite a while. So would I like an alternative, which they showed me, the Motion Healthcare M-Lite, the new model with the higher backrest. And I was like, yeah, it's got a footplate, which is great. So I mentioned it before. And it looks a little more expensive than the one I ordered, and you're not making me pay the extra because it's your fault. I didn't think to say at the time, well, I did order it for next day, because I thought that would be on the system and they'd rush it through. I'm not naming the company, by the way, because they did make good in the end. But yeah, so I had this whole thing of like, yeah, fine, get it sent. So then Friday comes and I'm told it's coming on Monday. We were planning to leave 10:30. So if it came in the first slot, I might get a bit of time to quickly just top up the battery and hope that it lasted the day. But that was a big if. So I sent a thing saying like, that's not right. Because I paid for next day, she said, well, I can put it through with the courier because it would cost for an AM slot. I can send the information to the courier, cover that AM slot cost out of what you've paid for the next day and refund you the difference. Fine. As long as I get it Monday morning before we go, hopefully it'll be fine. Because they always ship with some charge, and worst case scenario, it drops out partway through the day. We figure out a solution. At least I haven't had to walk the entire day. Something like that. So it came to Sunday night because they send a text automated the night before. And Amy was already in bed by now. I think it was like 11:30 or something. And it says, yeah, your thing will be delivered tomorrow at 12 or something. That's after 10:30. That's not good. So I sent, the courier company has like a WhatsApp that obviously wasn't monitored at that time, but at least I sent the message as soon as possible saying, I'm not going to be there. Return it as refused, because it's not your fault they let me down. I was meant to have this in the AM slot. It hasn't come through to you. So I also sent an email to the company saying, firstly, the person who's been dealing with, because it was just one person I was talking to, has utterly failed me. So I don't want them dealing with it. Secondly, I either want a refund or this to be sent with, some massive gesture. A basket or something would be nice. I didn't put that bit in, but that's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe some accessories or something like that. Spare battery, whatever, But I sent this thing through very, very calmly, considering actually the situation, because we had cancelled the wheelchair once I'd ordered this, so we had nothing. We had no support at Chester. So when Amy got up the next morning, I went, right, here's the bad news. I don't know what we're going to do. And, you know, I left her to it. She actually got in touch with Chester and said, Chester Zoo, by the way, I didn't mention it earlier, Chester's not the entire city of Chester, but yeah, Chester Zoo, and was like, yeah, have you got anything? And they'd had a cancellation, so there would be a scooter I could use for the day. Win. That's a relief. So the potential problem with the day was mitigated. So we got there. I had fun with it. I really enjoyed it. My first time on, I got it very quickly. It sounds very egotistical. I'm very good at driving a mobility scooter instinctually, but it's not rocket science. You know, they are designed for people with mobility issues who might have cognitive issues as well. So it's got to be fairly straightforward. And, you know, yeah, had a good day out, all being told, because we had that in place. As we were in the gift shop, I remember it that well, I got an email saying, like, first of all, it wasn't that person, it was the courier. I'm like, I worked for a big company, well, big-ish company years ago. I know this track. It's called It's Not Our Fault, It's Theirs. Both companies play it constantly. I do not care. I didn't put that back in anything, but I said it to, you know, everyone around. Not everyone around, but, you know, Amy, parents, that kind of stuff. I was like, I know exactly what they're doing. They're mitigating responsibility. But I was offered a very sensible thing that, you know, she put in there. You obviously need it, otherwise you wouldn't have ordered it. So we can get the one that you weren't in to get today shipped out for you tomorrow and refund the whole, you know, next day costs. Or you can wait for the stock of the original one and you'll get an extra £100 as a back stock fee or something like that. It's a gesture of goodwill. They didn't want to put it as that. I get it. Totally understandable. At the end of the day, they were resolving it in a way. This is why I said it does work out well. And originally I said, well, it's the original one I ordered, so we'll do that one. I'll wait for it. The big need was for today. That need's not there anymore, so as soon as possible is great. But then, a few hours later, I went, you know what? The foot plate. Because if I'm going to put my feet down instead of on the front bits, or I want to put my bag down in front of me to get something out, I can't do that on the other one. It's literally like a thin pole. Like, obviously, more efficient for folding, great. But I need to think about this logically and do what's best for me. So I sent a follow-up saying, apologies, I will have the replacement one, the M-Lite, and I'm fully aware that I won't get the 100 extra. Totally fine. So that was sorted out. I got it delivered. And I literally planned to just take it up and down the road outside. We ended up going to like a nearby town. I went all the way there, and Amy walked with me. And it was so freeing. There's a lot of pictures and videos that I'll be putting up alongside me talking about this, of just how much, you know, I was enjoying it. I say a lot of pictures. There's a few. But still, you know, I was enjoying it. I was testing what I can do with it, because obviously each one's different. And, you know, it's been so liberating. It's been so freeing. I can go out when I want, because a lot of the times, you know, I'm like, well, if I've got to go into the town like that I'm literally right next to, it's down a hill. That bit's easy. It's the coming back up. Unless I do a massive circuitous route, which then is tiring me out because I'm having to make more steps. I've got to always trade off one thing for another. So having something that stops me being able to worry about that so much is great. But if I want to go further afield, you know, as long as it's within the range of the scooter, like I'd normally be, well, I'll get a bus or something like that. Which means I'm not going to get a lot of shopping because I can't really take it back. But now I'm just like, well, put it in my basket, put it in my bag. You know, as long as I'm not overloaded with too much stuff, that's fine. I can literally go out when because that's the other thing with buses. They're on a schedule. So I can just go out. I'm like, I want to go out in half an hour. I can. I don't have to look up bus times. I don't have to sort anything out. I can literally just go. And that is so freeing and liberating. And the fact that I learned about this, the post I put up on Facebook of, you know, me in it, there were people from uni saying, like, you bringing that? And like, yes, because it's a mobility aid. I'm perfectly allowed to. It's small enough that I could fold it down. It's not going to be obstructive or anything like that. It's like 20 kilos, which sounds a lot, but considering it's got an engine, well, a motor, all that kind of stuff, you know, a tenth of that is the battery. And obviously I want it to be sturdy enough that I'm not going to fall off. So That's not a bad weight for that kind of thing. If you look at a proper big mobility scooter, it's going to be a lot more than that. So I can take this around, and if they want me to fold it down inside, simple, I can do that. So I know I've got this, and someone in a powered wheelchair has said we'll race. People are really supportive of it because they understand that this is liberating for me. It means I can do more. It means I can have a lot more fun. And then the following Monday, as a little treat just for us, I've been looking for the reopening of Hex, and it still doesn't look like it's happening anytime soon, which is really sad, because I recently watched Downton Abbey, so I want to hear Jim's voice again. But yeah, so I was going to wait for that, but I'm like, do you know what? We'll do it. And stupidly, I didn't think about the fact that it was a really cheap day, meaning that they've probably got a lot of people coming in, a lot of school kids coming in. You'll get end of year trips to theme parks and things. But yeah, so we went to Alton Towers. I'd hired a scooter for that and got the ride access pass. That was a nightmare in some ways because you can't take the scooter down a lot of the ride queues because obviously it'll be blocking people. It's safety. And so I'd try and find somewhere safe to park it. And 9 times out of 10, I'm like, right, where's near? But there's a lot of inclines. So it's like, where's near that's not on a massive incline and that's, not super obvious that it's right there. But there was one time I was waiting for Nemesis Subterra and there was kids jumping on it and they were being encouraged by staff, which annoyed me more. The staff of the park, dressed in the theming stuff for that area, which is the Phalanx private military company or hazmat suits and that kind of stuff. They were supporting them doing it, and I ended up just shouting across, I rented that, get off. And I was watching that. The kids were just walking back and forward, hoping that I'd go in so I could get back, but I was just constantly watching them. And then the wonderful person at the baggage check said, I'll keep an eye on it. And I was like, it's that thing that you've got to kind of abandon it somewhere because I can't take it on the ride, and I can't not go on the ride. That's the purpose. So it's I'll keep an eye on it as much as I can. And I went back and it's fine, but it's me who would be charged, or wouldn't get my deposit back. So that was a bit stressful. Also, I found that, like I said before, that route downhill is easy. Getting uphill fully laden, I've done a test with it because I've got a spare battery and things like that, so I had the spare battery in my bag, so that's another 2 kilos added. I tried to get up the hill coming home, and there's a few bits where it will just not go up anymore. I don't know if it's because I was doing a few different routes to try, and maybe it just got, the motor was a bit warm, so it was perhaps less efficient. I don't know. And obviously, I don't want to keep ramming it too hard. That sounds awful. I don't want to sort of push it too hard and damage it because I need it. So I'm trying to figure out ways of getting back. I mean, I might have to get part way home and fold it and just take it some of the way up an incline. It's fine. If I can get most of the way back safely, it's that's acceptable. Getting to uni is simple. I've done 2 different routes, and I kind of prefer one that technically takes me further out, so it would take longer. But I'll see how I feel every morning. Basically, if I've got a lot of time, I might go the less straight route, but the more sort of scenic route, I guess. But like I say, it is freeing. It is liberating. It's been great for me to have that. And later today, from me recording this, I've got a few things I want to pick up from the shop. I've got a few just bits and pieces. I would normally go on, maybe Amazon, because with Prime I've got the Morrison's thing there, or do an Uber to a local supermarket or something like that. But that obviously I'm going to build up enough to justify a basket that way. Plus I'm paying whatever delivery costs, or I can just go out on my scooter to somewhere nearby and just not pay delivery costs, just get what I want. Yes, you run the risk of, I've seen that and I want it. I will make sure to eat before I go because shopping hungry is a death sentence to your wallet. But that's it, I will save myself money even doing that because I'm not paying for the costs and I'm not just shoving stuff in to justify it. So it's liberating, it's freeing, and it's great. I think there's a lot of us out there, myself included years ago, and I may have mentioned it before, when you need mobility aids or anything like that, we convince ourselves, I don't really need it, I'm not that bad, or, I've been really embarrassed about it, everyone's going to be looking at me. I will say one of the frustrations I've had is that no one looks at you, which is really annoying. because you're in a thing that will potentially hurt them, and they're just not paying attention. They're just walking right at you. People do it anyway. Like in Alton Towers, there are people walking like 10 abreast, and I'm on this scooter and I've got a horn and I'm like just bipping it every so often because it just got like I didn't want to use it, but it was so frustrating that people weren't there. I was just like I was doing it. Anyone walking within like say 2 or 3 meters, like 6 to 9 feet, say, you know, that was looking at their phone, I was waiting on the horn just in case they didn't look up. I actually found it worse when I went out on my own little one. That people just weren't moving out the way or paying attention. Having Amy with me at Towers, I think, helped because they could see 2 people and one at a normal height, if you will. But it is so fun. Like I've got a light. That's one of the first things I got, which came with an R alarm style horn. It was that loud and obnoxious, which is great for the purpose, but I don't want that. I want something that just says I'm here, not screaming. Like the purpose, the R alarms are like that for a purpose. I'm not actually going to say the word for various reasons, but they're like that for a purpose. I don't need that just because I want people out my way. Apparently, if I pressed the button long, it changed the sound, but it was just annoying to me, Amy, and the cats. The cat's like, what is that sound? At least me and Amy knew. So I trimmed that off because it's a separate circuit, the light still works, and I just got myself a little bell that's clamped on. I've got a basket, and I've got some armrests because it doesn't normally come with them, because the slimline ones don't always, because it's extra space, extra weight, perfectly logical. And they were simple to put on. So yeah, I've spent a lot of money on this, all told, but it's because I can see the benefit of it. Another thing I've spent a lot of money on is my teeth. For many years, I've had various mental health issues, as I've talked about here and there and everywhere. And some of that is, depression, so my motivation to look after myself goes completely through the floor. Then you add the fibro, and sometimes the energy to do stuff just isn't there. Then the realization that I'm coming to over years and years that, yeah, probably autism, but probably also ADHD's in there. And I've mentioned in so many videos the PDA thing, the pathological demand avoidance. It's been a nightmare. My teeth are not great. And in videos, I've tried to minimize how much of my teeth can be seen. It's actually been really hard sometimes recording a video and going, oh, I'm going to laugh. How do I put my head? And I know sometimes it just happens. They will get seen. I can't do anything about it. But I minimize it. But I went to the dentist way back, like December, January, and just said, look, I need to sort these out for a number of reasons, health-wise, the ability to have a confident smile. Any pictures of me, I'm like this. Because I just don't want to show teeth, and I look really weird. I don't like that smile, but it's better than showing teeth. And way back then, it was like, yeah, we'll have a look, got some x-rays, there's a lot of work here that needs doing, but the first thing is we need you to see the hygienist, get, all the build-up cleared out the way, get it drilled into you a bit, not to put a bit of wordplay there, but get it drilled into you, you need to look after them. We're going to, sort of take it back as much as we can, but the rest is on you. Like, one of the dentists the other day told me, it's 10% us, 90% you, and I understand that. But unfortunately, the hygienist, who is a private hygienist in an NHS, I think they also do private work there, but we're in as NHS patients, but that doesn't cover the private hygienist. I think it's slightly subsidised. It's less than a lot of people pay that I had to. But still, she was busy for like 6 months. So I had to wait, and I was on the list, sometime in July, as soon as we can. And then I had a text saying, just a reminder here, your appointment. I'm like, a reminder? I didn't even know I'd got one yet. So that was good. They also sent me a reminder about my 6 months checkup, though, which was kind of weird, because I haven't had anything done. I haven't had any work, even just the hygienist stuff done. So what's the point of an appointment? So I just went for this, initial hygienist appointment, and she was lovely. Her name's Liz. She's great. And she was like, I love my job. But quickly went, because I get to reveal what's underneath, I get to make people look better. It isn't because she likes inflicting pain. And it wasn't too bad. She was being very precise, very careful with it. And she did say, at any moment, put your hand up. But like with my tattoo, I'm like, if I pause, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be thinking about it, so I'm going to be focusing on the pain that's coming. And then I'm going to dread the next bit. If I just power through, it's done then. I don't have that to go, oh God, I've still got half of it left. And once she was done, she did the bottom lot first and went, because there's a lot, I'm going to split it over 2. I don't think this was I want more money out of you. It was because she said, like, 2, it might be 3, but I'll try and do it in 2. So she's obviously not trying to just get a load of money out of me. She wouldn't have said that otherwise. But she said, yeah, I've done the bottom, like, have a look at them. Obviously, this is as good as we can get. Yes, there'll be a lot of blood, but that's expected because all of a sudden you've got your gums exposed. They're not covered in layers of plaque and tartar. It's totally understandable. And she said, like, make another appointment for the top lot. Not in 3 weeks, not next week, as soon as possible. If there's a cancellation, get it. So when I went down, I said, like, I need to pay, and she also wants another appointment. And it was like, tomorrow at like 10:40, I think it was. I'm like, yep. I didn't even think about it. Because one of the issues I've tried going to the dentist years ago, before we moved into this place. And they were always very judgmental, even though I said, I've had a history of mental health problems and all other stuff. I didn't really mention the autism or neurodivergence in general at that point because it wasn't something I was really thinking of. But I was saying, like, I've had issues and it's very hard for me to sometimes maintain that. And it was all of a case of, oh, you've got to do this. PDA. I realise now, PDA was triggered. You've got to clean your teeth twice a day. So my brain goes, no, not doing it. Even though I'm going, but really, it's good for me. Do it. You'll feel better. You'll have a healthier mouth. You won't run the risk of like tooth infections becoming brain infections. All this kind of stuff. But I just couldn't override it. I think it was also the judgment. I didn't want to go back because I'm like, well, if it isn't as good as they're hoping, because I've missed a couple of days because I had no energy or my mood was low. It's always felt like I'd be persecuted. But with that appointment, she was like, yeah, I get it. It happens. That's what I'm here for, to help you get better. Hopefully drill in some habits. Again, pun not intended. But, get these habits formed and do the best you can. We can do some fine tuning, but you do the bulk of it. So yeah, I went the second day, had the top row done, had airflow polish stuff, which is apparently less intrusive. It cost a bit more, but I wouldn't take it if she hadn't have said, if cost was no option, I would definitely still choose airflow, but you're the one paying for it. Now, could that be, I'm going to push it so we get more money? Yes, it could, but I'm going to take her at a word for that one. I don't think it's gullibility, it's me wanting to get the best for my teeth. At the end of the day, if I'm investing this money into it, I'm more likely to keep it, because otherwise I've wasted, it was 45 for the first one, it was 80 for the second one. That's 125. Why would I waste £125? I also made an appointment for the dentist after, that was 25, 80 or whatever it is these days. So 150 quid on my teeth. I then also bought something else for my teeth as well, like a water flosser, which I'll get onto in a second. And that was like 25 quid. So that's 175 quid. If I don't keep up with this, I've wasted £175 of my own money. So maybe I should keep on top of it. So yeah, I had all this work done. I had bits of the polish all around my face for ages afterwards. It was great. And actually on the second day, I took my scooter down. And Amy felt faint. She needed some water. I'm like, I'm already running late. I need to get there. So I got there, and when I was waiting in the waiting room, I went, if you need to, take my scooter around the corner, sort of have a ride of it, go round and get yourself some, because there was a shop around the corner, which she'd seen, and she was like, I want to go there and get it. It's like, I can't do that. I'm already late. So yeah, I let her go, and she said, I prefer walking, but I can see how much of a benefit it is for you. And it meant that she could go round and I wasn't worried about it. I folded it for the second appointment, put it by the stairs, but it's fine. But yeah, so that second appointment, I said, well, I've had this polish work done now, so obviously this is the kind of best you're going to see my teeth from this point, or, from how they were before. This is the best starting point now to how do we move forward. So we gave a look, just obviously verified what was against the notes, and from the sounds of it, they hadn't gotten worse in that 6 months, so I'd obviously been doing something right. Was I fastidious and perfect? No. And I was open and honest about that. In each time I've said, I have executive function issues, I have fatigue and energy level for, issues. I have mental health issues. I'm doing what I can around that. And the dentist said, if you can do once a day, it's better than nothing. And mouthwash 3 times a week. If you can at least do that, that's good. Obviously, better if I can do twice a day, do mouthwash more regularly, but at least make sure that I'm doing that as the minimum. And that's what I'm setting myself as the minimum. Now, the Waterpik thing, like the water floss, it's not a Waterpik, it's a different brand. But the hygienist gave me the little interdental brushes as a thing to do. And I'm uncomfortable with it. I've got the anxiety that I'm just going to like push my teeth out or something. Even though she's jetted them and scraped them and everything like that, and they're still fine, they're still there, they're obviously rooted well, the ones that aren't broken. But I just still don't feel comfortable with it. I'm very wary. And so I spoke to her the next day. I was like, well, what about the water flossing? She's like, not as good. But me and Amy spoke, and we came to the conclusion that if I'm going to do something, it's better to do the less good thing than nothing. Because I know after a week of those, I'll just be like, I'm just not comfortable with it, and I'd just give up. Even with everything else, I know that if, that would make me uncomfortable, and I'd just give up. I wouldn't bother anymore. But at least with the water flosser, I'm doing something. I'm at least having some kind of interdental treatment, if you will, that I'm doing myself. So, and I've been keeping that up since we went earlier in the, in the month, in July. So that's a change. I've spent all this money over the last month on my health, my well-being, my independence. And that's a good thing. I've also spent on stupid things that I really don't need, like new RGB lights behind the monitor. But they're synced, though. They're synced like to stuff going on screen. That's my justification. But that's it. Like, if I'm going to spend thousands of pounds, hundreds of pounds, it should be on the stuff that matters. So like I say, it's been a very busy July, and I haven't even talked about the fact that we're now starting the American remakes, and, give me the views, please. Justify it. I know it's all self-inflicted. I chose this, but at least make it worthwhile for me. But that's all I want to say, so thank you very much, as always, and until next time, take care, look after your teeth, maintain your independence, all that good jazz.